The people are asking, Mocha, is it true? Is game development your only personality trait? Is the only trick you know making a bunch of games in a really short amount of time and then crashing out during them? And I would answer, well, actually, yes. I like to make games. What can I say? Watching videos on Steam Analytics is bedtime entertainment for me. Entering game jams is triply so. And despite definitely needing to take a break after the last game I made, there was another contender coming up, the Godot Wild Game Jam, a 9-day event that runs once a month where you make a game in Godot. But Mocha, if it runs once a month, why are you doing it now? Can't you just wait until next month? And it is true. I had only a 4-day break between the Live 2D Game Jam and the Godot Wild Game Jam, and I spent all of it editing the last devlog, and yes, I was wiped. But the relentless march of time waits for no one, and because we've unfortunately got busy lives, this was the only time my friend Scoot and I could make a game together for the foreseeable future. However, this was not our first time entering this game jam. We joined it last year and made a dragon game, making it our first Godot game ever. And we won, which is great, but now there's a lot of pressure. If we made something subpar, everyone would think that we fell off. Actually, probably no one would even remember us, but I would be ashamed. The user-voted theme for this game jam was masks, likely due to the recent release of Silksong, and we wanted to be creative with this theme. We put our heads together and came up with the concept for Counterfeit Cafe, a game where you forge bills while keeping up your mask of a coffee shop so that the cops don't find you. To make sure that we made a good use of our time, the first night of the jam was spent entirely on planning out the game's design. We did zero programming, art, etc. We didn't even set up the project. Instead, we wrote out a small mini game design document clarifying what the game would actually be. Our gameplay loop works as follows. Customers will come up to you wanting coffee. You want to be forging bills. And you don't want them to see that. You need to carefully balance two sets of mini-games, the copy-making minigames and the bill-forging minigames, with the customer's current state. They are either looking at you or they're distracted. If they're looking at you while you're doing something you're not supposed to be, their suspicion goes up. If the general public's suspicion of you reaches 100% at the end of the day, it is game over. And you can't just not forge bills. If you forge less than 150k by the end of the week, your boss will get you. Inversely, you can't make bad coffee either. If you make bad coffee, customers will leave bad reviews, which will make the public more suspicious of you, and then the cops might get you. It is a delicate balance that needs to be maintained. The mini-games for both the money and coffee sections are varied. Some of them are time-sensitive, some require precision, and some just require waiting around. This mix-up, alongside the customer distraction cycle, created situations where you were constantly jumping between tasks. It's actually pretty fun, and I think we managed to hit the perfect balance between stressful and doable. We decided to split up the mini-games by having Scoot work on the coffee-related mini-games, while I managed the money-making mini-games. Things were going pretty smoothly, at least at the start. I mean, I've made enough games that I didn't think there would be any awful surprises, but at the end of the second day, there actually was one. I had just finished editing my last devlog, was working on the game again, and I thought to myself, I would rather take a nap than work on this game right now. Scratches my head? That's weird. Remember at the start of the video when I said that game development was my only personality trait? Is this some of that so-called burnout crap? No, must have been the wind. Making games is something that's always been a relaxing thing for me, like how reading books or watching movies might be for other people. I would just keep on carrying on. It is time to go over minigame implementation! Yay! Did you know? That one Mario Party minigame where you try to trace a line super accurately is really cool. The moment we came up with the idea for this game, we were stuck on the image of drawing on dollar bills with some crappy little crayon. But actually, we had absolutely no idea for how we were going to implement it. I had to do some research and read some papers. So that was fun. I haven't really been pushed out of my comfort zone like that before. This is your message to download the Wikipedia app and read up on the thing that you want to figure out how to do because it's probably more within your reach than you think. Good luck! Anyhow, I utilized the precision and recall algorithm for this. After intaking user input, I'd compare it against a black and white mask and sort all of the pixels in the player's drawing into 3 categories: true positive, false positive, and false negative. True positive pixels were pixels that should have ink in the target mask and did have ink in the player's drawing. False positive pixels were pixels that shouldn't have ink, aka the background, but did have ink in the player's drawing. And finally, false negative pixels were pixels that should have ink, but didn't have ink in the player's drawing. Okay, nerd session over, yay. About midway through the jam, we decided to talk seriously about the game's art style. Scoot and I do not have the same art styles, whether that be in our color choices or our subject matter. So we had to find a compromise. We were very much inspired by Consume Me's style, as it had recently come out and was, and is, utterly charming. We came up with a style that felt purposefully messy. Straight lines were free-drawn, we used big and flat brush sizes, and things had to feel like they were placed without a care. Ironically enough, going for a careless art style that still looked good was actually a whole lot more effort than going for a careful art style. Scoot was really good at directing our art styles together to create something cool, and even came up with a custom color palette for the game. I think it looks really good. Spending a day hammering this out definitely made me feel more at ease. Maybe my earlier stress was just a thought in the wind. I've said once before that I believe in order to guarantee a solid Game Jam entry, it is important to have the MVP, the minimum viable product, finished by the halfway point so that you can spend the rest of the jam bug fixing, polishing, or even expanding on the base concept you've already made. I usually manage to do this, but definitely didn't this time around. I think it didn't help that the jam period was shorter than what I've done recently, so my normal scoping abilities weren't as up to snuff as they could have been. All this to say that up until the last 48 hours, we kept saying, "Oh, we got plenty of time," until we didn't. This is when spoilers, crashed out again. Scoot and I had decided after much discussion that the game needed a tutorial. Normally, I don't make tutorials for game jams, or at least not very complicated ones, but this was a game made by ensuring that the player understood all of the little mechanics interwoven with one another. A tutorial was needed, and not just any kind of tutorial, but one that didn't overload the player with information. It needed to show the steps of the minigames, well, step by step. So here is the problem with that. I haven't gone too much into it, but the day cycle system is set up very specifically. It's paused whenever there's a customer order, and said customer dictates a lot of whatever is going on based on its states. If there's no customer, and to teach the money minigame we needed to have there be no customer, at least for a moment, things broke badly. So I had to gut out this terrible hard-coded system that I made beforehand and make it work. Oops! On top of all that, in order to convey the steps in a non-overwhelming way, we wanted to have visuals to go alongside everything. Scoot took charge on this and animated a ton of really cool and professional-looking visuals for the tutorial. All I had to do was time them in. Simple, right? Haha. Remember that terrible hard-coded system that I made beforehand? I needed to go in with a surgical knife and peel apart the steps of the minigames to wedge the tutorial in between steps over and over and over. I need to tell the player to soak the bill, then I need to let them soak the bill. Then I tell them to drag the pencil over and draw on the bill, and then I let them do that. I cannot tell them to soak and drag the pencil and draw and stamp and remember all of that and do the first thing first. You understand how that's confusing, right? Ultimately, all of this was annoying, hard, and a challenge formed purely by my own former hubris, but it wasn't like impossible. In terms of difficulty logic gates, the drawing minigame was way harder to figure out. I had no uncertainty that I could do it, only that I might not do it in time. And alarmingly, it was boring to do. The first half of Saturday filled me up with a doom I have not felt about game development for quite some time. Not in like a fun, OMG, will I make it? Eep, this is going to be a fun story to tell down the line kind of way either. Just in a, this freaking sucks, but I just need to push through it way. Like, the resolution to this problem was just, I pushed through it, and I felt better. But I guess really the problem wasn't the tutorial or any of my work on it, but rather the fact that I, as you can probably guess, was a bit burnt out of working on games. I make games for my full-time job, I work on game jams in my free time, and in my free time, I fill up sketchbooks daydreaming about games I'm going to work on. I can't imagine my life without making games. But maybe I need to imagine like a couple hours in my life every day without making games. Come Sunday, bar a bit of anxiety we had over not being able to upload the game due to itch getting DDoSed, we submitted the game and our job was done! Yay! Scoot did an absolutely amazing job on this jam. As expected, pulling together all the coffee minigames and getting an awesome drag and drop system working on top of everything else. Go follow her and see her cool stuff. As for me, I rewarded myself for pulling through by slipping my current favorite anime girl into the game. As a treat. I'm pretty happy with the game we made. I don't make a lot of super mechanic heavy games, but this one turned out, in my opinion, genuinely pretty fun. Go check out the game below as always. In addition, the other games in the jam were really awesome. I haven't played all of them yet, but several people within the jam said that they recognized me from my videos, so that was very cool and flattering. If you're watching now, hi! Actually, continuing on that point, Naishi uploaded a playthrough of Counterfeit Cafe and said some really nice words about my videos at the start, and Moon_008 drew some lovely fan art of me. These absolutely had me kicking my feet and smiling when I saw them. 100 thank yous to everyone's kind words and support lately. Thank you. Thank you, yeah. Anyway, I am now for real going to take a bit of a break from making games. Actually, I already have. I finished the jam and immediately got back to reading Higurashi, playing the new Pokemon game, and actually I'm working on games again because I took my break. I started some scripts for videos I plan to release over the next few months, I've got some other non-game jam games cooking, and I've even gotten back into streaming. So yep, thank you again as always, and see you when I see you. Bye bye!